never remember.
I know.
How's it going?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well. Apparently we're both freezing today.
Yeah, but mine was because the door was left open for most of the day and it was just a straight shot of cold air down to the basement. And I couldn't get off my phone calls to go close it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was chilly downstairs today. Oh. Yeah, it was chilly.
Well, normally heat.
Yeah, that was not an issue today.
So I woke up to a crap load of crap everywhere.
Yep.
We have 3 dogs. One of which is a walking pooper.
Yeah, I mean, even when you say it, it doesn't sound great.
No, the other 2 at least just squat in one position. This other one, though, she walks. She's a puppy, and she was sick through the night.
Yep.
And
yeah, she took that show on the road.
Started at one part of the room, walked around, hit every mat, because we've got 3 cushiony foam mats in our kitchen, hit every single one of those and walked full circle. Apparently got down into the basement.
Made it to the basement. Yeah, decided that she wasn't done with her handiwork. Yeah, so that was a nice surprise.
Or maybe that's where she started. Who knows?
I mean, it doesn't. I don't know if it really matters where she starts or ends. The problem was that it was everywhere. And yeah, there's nothing like doing a full house scrub at 7 a.m.
Oh my gosh. And it's funny because the minute I came out of my room upstairs, I was hit with a smell, but I must have got used to it because by the time I went downstairs, I'm like,
this isn't so bad. We just live in squalor.
But
so we're used to
it. It was terrible. And then I had to get my little one up to go see my witch.
Your not so little one?
My witch doctor.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll help her.
Yeah.
There's something. Oh, she's driving now.
She is.
Yeah. And I let her drive. We had a white out, snow out. It's been beautiful weather. And then all of a sudden we just had this crazy white snowstorm. She went onto the highway. We almost got T-boned, but I calmed her down. 5 minutes later, she's on the highway in this whiteout snowstorm. She did pretty good.
She did fine. Well, the car came back. You guys came back. That's all that really matters. I offered to let the oldest one drive in the snowstorm that we were at up in eastern Alberta, and she gave a hard pass on that option. Let me deal with it.
Hey, we could let Willow drive to Edmonton this weekend. No.
I'm not letting her drive the QE2 at night.
Oh, yeah, we're driving at night.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's great.
And it's supposed to snow on Thursday.
Now I've got 3 drivers for me. It's fantastic.
I'm going to retire. You can go with 2 still. You have 2 drivers, and I'll just step back.
Except the oldest one now is turning into me. You're driving her everywhere. She doesn't want to ever drive anywhere.
So it's my fault? It's not the genetic handout that she got of aversion to 4 wheels?
Hey, I drove all the time. When I was her age, I was up at your place every night.
So that's what you're saying. She just doesn't have a good enough reason to drive like you did. Hey.
Oh.
Like how I did that?
Although she's met another boy. Oh,
what's wrong?
There's a dog stuck in here. She's met another boy. Pretty sure he's also neurodivergent. Because his first words out of his mouth was like, did you know there's 4 species of deer in Alberta?
And you know what a fun fact is?
What?
I did know.
Did you?
Yeah, because my dad told me. Because my dad, the more I hear about neurodivergence, pretty sure he was, because he got obsessed about knives and hunting stuff, weird random stuff.
And rocks.
Oh, the amount of information that man had about dirt was mind-numbingly boring.
Well, you were questioning your own neuro development this morning.
Neurostability? Is that what we should call it? Did I just coin a new term?
Well, I would call it neuromajority. I don't know what we call it.
Yeah, because you keep saying that neurodivergence attract other neurodivergents, and I've never considered myself neurodivergent. But boy, howdy you are. So real good chance I got a bit of it. I'm on some spectrum.
Yeah, I do know how to make a room full of laughing people turn to crickets.
Yeah, you make things awkward fast.
I know.
Yeah.
When I present, I'm engaging. I'm awesome. But socially,
Yeah. Like, what would be an example recently? How would you have stopped an entire room of adults from feeling comfortable inside of 5 seconds? Please elaborate.
well, I thought it was cool, but
Mm-hmm.
it apparently wasn't. So we had a faculty meeting and we were had to break out into our breakout rooms. And one of the questions was, what is an interesting skill you have outside of academia or
So
outside of your job?
before you finish what you said, ask me that question like I was on the faculty call, and I'll answer as if I was going to give you that skill. Okay, ready, go.
Okay, so what strengths do you have outside of your job?
Well, an interesting skill that I have is I'm actually, and it's kind of funny. I'm an ordained priest in the Church of the Latter-day Dude. Insert faculty laughter here. This is where everybody goes, oh my God, and then they just kind of titter on. Now it's your turn on the call. Caroline, can you tell a group an interesting fact about a skill or strength that you have?
Actually, just to go back on yours,
Yeah.
Just in case people don't know the Latter-day Dude.
The Church of the Latter-day Dude,
Church
thank you.
of the Latter-day Dude. He is an ordained priest.
Yeah.
And the Church of the Latter-day Dude, if you don't know, is from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, best movie of all time. Yeah, you practice dudism. But anyways, I've said my piece and everybody was charmed by it. It's your turn. You've got the conch. Please say it.
Okay, so what I said was I was trained to kill.
Yep. Do not insert faculty laughter and everybody finding it charming. No. Insert awkward, fearful silence.
Yeah, and no one, and I'm like, not a single person would be like, oh, tell me more.
The only way you could have made that worse is if you're like, I'm trained to kill people, and then to try and make it seem like a joke, you laughed like a maniac. Did you laugh like a maniac?
I did not, okay. But then nobody said anything. So I'm like,
with my hands.
No, I was like, from being in the army, but people moved on. People moved on, and it was done and over. And I thought that was an interesting skill. What was I going to say? I've learned to make sourdough bread.
Yeah.
That's boring.
No, but that's what normal people are like, oh my God, so did I at the beginning of COVID. That's so funny. And then it's relatable. It's all about relatability.
See, if someone said that, maybe like, oh my gosh, tell me more. I would have thought, like, I don't know. Are you
what, the army thing?
Well,
murdering people?
I didn't say murdering people.
Did you say that you're trained to kill people?
I said I was trained to kill.
Yeah, so murdering people.
I did actually, no, you know what I did say? I said, I don't know if I still have these skills, but I was trained to kill. That's exactly how I said it.
Oh my God, that makes it sound even worse.
Hey,
because that makes it sound like you like grew up in a cult, and like part of the cult was like you had to learn survival skills, but you broke free, and now people are like, "Oh my God,
tell me more."
No, it's not a tell me more moment. It's
wouldn't
like,
you want to know? If somebody said that, you would not want to know.
How well do these people know you?
Not
okay. Well, then no, I don't need to know more. If some dude came up to me and said, "Hey, man, I can kill people," I'd be like, "Cool, bud. See you later." And I would move on with my day.
The worst part of it, you know who is in my group? The dean of the faculty.
How has HR not called you already? Like, those moments would be met by me. You know that scene in Dumb and Dumber where Floyd comes out of the 7-Eleven and the two guys are standing there drinking big gulps, and he goes, "Big gulps, huh?" And they don't say anything. He goes, "Well, see you later." That's what you just did. That's the real life equivalent to that. You went, "I kill people," and then nobody answered. You go, "Well, see you later," and you moved on. Oh my God.
I don't know. I still stand by the fact that it was interesting.
It's probably more playable in person because then you can kind of, people know you and they see that you're like 4 feet tall and you're cute. And it doesn't
4 feet tall.
You're 5'4", maybe.
5'5".
Shrinking.
I am shrinking. How is that a thing? My posture is fine.
You're getting old.
Well, I thought it was like from old people crouching down, bad posture.
It's life and bad decisions crushing your hopes and dreams over time.
How should have I said that? Should I just not have given that information
at all? 100%. That's not how you do it. The interesting fact would have been like, because it's kind of dumb that they asked you for a skill or a strength. But yeah, the sourdough is a good one. Absolutely, it's a good one.
I did then ask the dean if he made sourdough to try to like change because his was cooking. So I asked him about it.
Would have been funny if you're like, "Oh yeah, I kill it." I mean,
I guess I could have said act. Well, what would you say? What would you say that I should have said?
So if I'm Caroline,
Not sourdough, because sourdough is boring.
but again, people understand
And it's not a
boring.
skill. And it's not a skill. I'm still developing that one.
You don't get to count skills just because you're an expert.
Well, that's what they were intending. Like, what are you skilled at? Okay, but what would you say?
A skill for you? Making shit weird. That's a skill. That's an awkward. Like you'd be like, hey, I can make things weird in under 30 seconds. Like, really, how? And then you could have said, I've been trained to kill people. And then it would have been on point. Skill for you. Skill for you. You paint. Mm-hmm. That's a relatable skill. You draw. You've taught yourself piano. See? Super normal, relatable things. Nobody died.
I suppose. I panicked. I didn't know.
But you got to have these things on lock and loaded.
I know.
Another one, if you want it to be more funny, can be like, what's a skill? Annoying my kids. And everybody goes, ho, 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 and moves on. Again, boring, but now you're not the chick that said you kill people on a call.
Yeah. I wonder what they think now.
I got an idea.
What do you think?
Man, can you believe Caroline said that she's trained to kill people? What does that mean? I'm kidding. They probably didn't think about it afterwards.
Yeah, they probably completely
just moved.
It was just an awkward moment.
Because the fun part is you probably work with other neurodivergents that didn't even pick up on it.
Yeah, maybe.
You're fine. It's all good. But boy, that's a bomb.
Yeah.
That's a bomb.
Well, it's so bad now because I'm like, is it weird? And all of you and the girls immediately, yes. You don't even have to ask. Yes.
And are we wrong?
We just know coming out of your mouth, yes.
Are we wrong? Like, how often have you said it? They were like, oh, that's not that weird. No. Maybe 1 in 10.
No. Well, you never get a chance. You've already biased your decision.
Okay, I promise you, I will. Next time you say it, I can't speak for the girls, but I will let you say your piece, and then I will appropriately judge it as weird or not.
Alrighty. We should probably get on with our guest.
Yeah.
Because we have a guest today.
We sure do. Do we?
I don't know. I might have to pause. I found it. I lose things all the time.
I know.
Like that new thing you bought me. It didn't even make it upstairs. I lost it from opening it to bringing it to my office.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, I'm aware. I live with you. There's a few things that you lose repeatedly that you find. We've mentioned that before. But yeah, little things. If you don't have that time to bond with the new thing, it's for sure lost.
Like, I don't even know how it's possible. Yeah, my phone. Thank goodness for Google Find My Phone. Every day I use it. But anyway, we have Kevin Cripe joining us today. He's a motivational speaker, author, and educator with over 27 years experience inspiring students, teachers, and communities. As an elementary school teacher in California, he founded an after-school chess program that transformed the lives of hundreds of students from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds. His talks focus on creating student success without frustration and fostering compassion across diverse communities. He has spoken internationally, including at the Innovative Schools Conference in Atlanta and the Chess in the Schools Conference in London.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Me too.
I think there'll be lots to learn. Enjoy. Well, Kevin, thank you for joining us on the show today. Why don't we have you start off by introducing yourself to the listeners?
Hi there. My name is Kevin Cripe, and I was a teacher in Modesto City Schools for about 27 years, and then retired to Panama and Costa Rica and taught chess there. I was a chess coach in Modesto City Schools and then kind of took that to Central America. I have 3 adopted children from Guatemala who are adults now, and they live in California. And I have moved back because there's some books that I've published and some public speaking that I do. So I've moved back to the United States because it's easier to do it from the U.S. than it is from Costa Rica, which is a beautiful place, by the way. And so I'm in San Antonio, Texas now.
Nice. We want to retire. We're always looking at properties in Costa Rica.
Costa Rica's awesome.
It's warmer than Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very much so.
just a wee bit. Actually, right before you hopped on, I was telling my husband how I have frostbite just being in my office all day in my hands, like
It's
indoors, indoors.
a lot of Canadians are
Yeah.
in the Costa Rica, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you have so much experience working with kids, and I would love to hear sort of the ins and outs of public education and then more importantly for parents. I know that they're really interested in, how do we optimize learning? So just how kids learn best. I think that would be great
Yeah.
for us to dive
I,
into.
I always felt as a teacher when I'm looking at a group of students, if they're smiling, they're learning. So if they are in an environment where they feel relaxed and it's not always a joke, but you create an environment that their affective filters go down and that you see them smiling, there's a lot of learning that can take place. If you got a kid who's just sitting there frozen for whatever reason, they're not going to learn very much. And so much of what happens in a classroom is teacher created to lessen the effect, bring the affective filters down and just allow kids to relax. Where I taught, we had a high mobility. And so like one year I had 55 students, 8 that stayed from beginning to end. So it's just constant
Wow.
turnover. And so every time a new student would come in, and they're kind of like, oh, what's going to happen here? I would just look at them and I would just say to them, I have a very important question for you. It's the most important question you can answer this year. And I just look at them. I go, do you beat up bald teachers? And that would get everybody in the class laughing. And then they would smile. And most of the time they would say no. I go, oh, good. You're one of my favorites. Come on in and sit down. And then they're comfortable. They're coming in. And it's how you approach a group initially. Obviously, you have to have some idea what you're going to teach and how to teach it. But you can have all those ideas in your head. But if you have the students who aren't looking at you, aren't focused, and aren't relaxed, no learning is going to take place. So that a big part of it is just the environment you create.
Yeah. And literally like your surroundings. I remember last year my daughter it was the first time she ever loved school. And one of the things the teachers did was brought in a tea kettle, and kids were allowed to bring in their own teacups, and they had their own little tea station that they could go, like, just that little piece. I mean, the relationship was also very important, but I think that was just a nice little, like, students creating their environment. But then you sent me a video of a principal somewhere in the States. He just walks the hallways and gives students high fives. And he's just like, you can tell the kids love being there and they want to give him a high five, and just that relationship piece.
The other thing I think is critical, and I really saw this in action of a couple of things that I would do during the year, which is your classroom structured for successful students only, or is it for successful students, students who are improving, and students who are trying? If you only reward students who are successful, you get about a 15 to 20% buy-in. And the rest are going to go, well, we can never get to that level, so why should we even try? But if you are consistently treating equally students who are succeeding, students who are trying, and students who are improving, whether, and we used to do, I'd have students who come in and don't know any math facts. And the whole math curriculum depended on knowing math facts. So like we had this little project we'd work on for a couple of weeks. And if a student went from 1 to 2, that's a celebration right there. You improved. If I could see a student who is struggling for whatever reason and just trying, we're going to celebrate that student. So if you celebrate effort, improvement, and success equally, you're going to get a lot more students buying into what you're doing in the classroom, because they're all going to go, I don't have to be the best student in the class. I can be me, I can improve, I can try, and the teacher's going to notice that. And that's an environment that, so much, I don't know how Canadian schools handle testing, but like in the US, at the end of the year, we have these big tests, and everything's right on the test, and the principal typically will get out and have a big assembly, and if students do really well, and we're going to get prizes. And I think those work against actually producing good results, because it makes the students anxious, because they're not been in that kind of environment before. And they're like, what do I have to do? Am I doing it right? And it raises the affective filters instead of lowering them. And then they're not, if all it is they can recognize it's just the good students are going to get these anyway, They don't care anyway. So so much of it is environment and how you value the student and what you're looking for, I think, in a classroom.
It's so true. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, and how you I think part of it as well is how they themselves can get involved in the celebration. Like you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's as they are progressing, that's naturally going to create an environment where others are buying into it on their behalf as well, right? And so there's that more community aspect to it.
Right. If all you do is celebrate the success, the ones who get 100%, then those students are kind of looked up to, but they're also almost pariahs in a way because I can never be like that. But if you're celebrating equally a child's effort, and we just
Yeah.
up the hey, big round of applause, and hey, your name's going onto the board on the happy face because you just tried today, and whatever thing you give out equally to all students, then they know they're equal. They're they're treated equally in the classroom, and to have that hierarchy based on success really is detrimental to long-term learning, I just think. And it makes kids at all levels just check out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's we've talked about that before, like with our girls when they were little. We tried very much when they were in sports and school as well, but to avoid the recognition of not necessarily the outcome, but more recognition of their approach and what they put into it, and then not worried so much about putting the focus on the actual outcome for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Just because of that exact reason, because we wanted to make sure that they understood that we were proud of the fact that they were, to your point, working, trying, getting over their fear of not knowing what's going on. Like all of these things that they may have to deal with is more important than the actual outcome for the most part.
Right.
Well, and I remember like I was a high achiever, gold star, like spelling 100% all the time. I was always up on the spelling board, but I never got up on the mad minutes. How many problems can you solve in a minute? I was always 100% accurate, but I was not as fast as other students. And I never got up there. And the amount of shame and, like, even though I was striving and did well in school, like it does, that stick. I don't have a lot of memories, but I
The
definitely,
mad minute did it to you,
the
didn't it?
mad minute. Yeah.
We would, because of this emphasis on math facts when my kids didn't know any. I mean, we literally start the year, first day, here's a math fact multiplication fact test, and you get 2 right out of 2,000 problems. I mean, nobody knows any of them. And so I created this system of learning math facts where they could, 80 to 90% of the class is going to master all of them in under 2 minutes. At the end of it, there would be a competition against an upper grade classroom where we just kind of take the top, from top to bottom and pair them against each other and split them up in classrooms. And so at the top end, I would have, because in the United States, you have 24 students in third grade and below and 36 in the fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, at least in California. We'd have my best student taking on the top 2 fifth graders. So say one third grader taking on the top 2 fifth graders. So one year, my best student came to me a week before our big tournament where, it's a big thing. And she says, I'm not going to be here because my family's going to Disneyland. So I looked at this. I called in some of the students. Recess, I said, she's going. I need someone to be the number 1 student. And this girl raised her hand, Aaliyah. And Aaliyah goes, I'll do it, Mr. Cripe. And so I'll never forget the day of the competition. She would go to library so I get a chance to get ready for the thing, so get everything set up. She comes to me and she goes, Mr. Cripe, I just don't think I can beat the 2 boys. And I said, Aaliyah, you know what I think? When I look in your eyes, do you know what I see? She goes, no. I go, I see greatness. And greatness isn't defined by winning and losing. Greatness is defined by taking some risks, trying your hardest, and doing your best. That's all I care about. You could lose every single time, but what I've seen is when we had someone missing, you stepped up. And when I see your effort, that's the only thing that's going to matter. You keep doing that, it's still going to be okay. So we get to the competition, and she's literally sitting there. It's a third grade girl between 2 fifth grade boys who are really good at math facts. All right. And at the top end, they're all going to be done under a minute. Go over the instructions. And I go, ready, set, go. And the first thing I do is I hear a snap of a pencil, and it's her pencil. First time it's ever happened in the whole thing. And she just looks at me and she goes, Mr. Cripe. So I throw her pencil. And if you're listening out there and you're a teacher, don't throw pencils at students, but she caught it. And the best way to describe what happened is I met the teacher of the other class at recess. I go, what did your kids think? Did they like it? Because we won the competition. She goes, they all came back. All the students who went to your class came back and said the same thing. There was this third grade girl who, when we started, her pencil broke and she still beat everybody. She beat she gave her fastest time. And a lot of it is you just have to look at them and say, I'm not worried about the results. I see your effort. And that means everything to me. So we could lose every match. And if you are relentless on that message and authentic, kids pick up on that and go, I don't have to be Mr. 100%. Turns out she was, which is good. And we won and we had a big pizza party. But, they knew that every student mattered in that competition. It was equal. If you were near the bottom of the time list, you still had to beat someone who was a fifth grader. And they all had bought into it. And as a team, they were like for everybody. So I've seen that enough and I preached it enough as a teacher. I tried to every day to say, you matter regardless to me of result. And that message as a parent, that message as a teacher is just central.
It's so important. And I think we know that. And I think a lot of people do understand it. But then when it comes down to it, I work with so many families, especially high school, when they move away from like the ones and twos to now it's percentages.
Yeah.
That are just screaming. They are literally disrupting their relationship. They're going to alienate these kids, in the future when those kids move out. Just because of the grades, they're so focused. But then kids are focused on it too, because I need it for university, and they're just stressing themselves out.
Yeah. There's so much wrong with the system that's so reliant on testing and test results and grades, because you're missing a whole bunch of things about, one of my best, I had an after school chess program for children who live in poverty. And so I took students to about 200 tournaments and 14 national chess championships. And one of my best students was sitting in my class the entire year. He was in resource, which maybe has a different name in Canada, but I looked at him for an entire year and I didn't think he was that sharp. Okay. I knew he went to resource. I kind of knew what resource was. And when I started the chess club, he goes, can I be in the chess program? I go, well, okay, teacher happy face. Sure. Why not? You can be in here. I didn't, he wasn't one of the ones I asked. He turned out to be one of the best ones I ever had. And what I missed, and I missed it by a mile, and I tell him this every time I see him, is that while it took him longer to learn something, what was happening in his brain, and I just had to see this happening over and over again, he was trying to assimilate bigger chunks, bigger schemas of information initially, which caused him to struggle. It caused him to take more time to understand the big things. But when he could put those things together, he's putting bigger chunks of things together and more information. And all of a sudden, he just went, at his first chess tournament, he lost all his games, made terrible moves, and it was horrifically bad. And his opponents were laughing at him. It's just a nightmare. 3 months later, at a national championship where he's competing against the brightest kids in the country, he went 6 out of 7. No one could beat him. He drew twice. He was unbeatable. He had to learn. His learning style was this accumulating bigger chunks of information, which means you're not going to get it as fast initially. And just understanding how that we tend to think children learn like, okay, up one over one, up one over one. But there's such a tremendous variation in individual children. They can flatline for a while and then just go boop, way up, and then drop and then go way up. Or then some are more, and just recognizing that within children, not all learning is the same. They learn at different rates, at different speeds. And sometimes even though it takes longer to get something, they know it better than the people who got it real quickly.
Mm-hmm. So in your experience, it sounds pretty great, like amazing where you took kids from to with chess. So just knowing that we do have teachers certainly who listen, but we also have a lot of parents. That's predominantly their role. Anything that you've learned from your experience doing the chess or with teaching that would be really important for parents to know?
When we when we took students to tournaments and there's big groups and I had parents along, the fundamental rule was there were a couple of them. They're all our kids. We love them all equally. We know you love your kid more, but in this group, we're going to care about every child because we're responsible for every child. But then the second thing is no matter what happens in the game, this place that they come out to is a friendly, smiling place. If they lost their game, hey, great, you're going to get it the next time. And if they don't, if they win, we're happy. And I point out to students, winning is more fun than losing, but I don't value you more if you win. I don't value you less if you lose. And so one example, and there are pictures I have somewhere, but your people can't see them. But a girl named Liliana, who is a third grader, and invited her to chess. And she's a really bright, wonderful child. You'd want Liliana in your classroom. And she went to, there were two chess tournaments, one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday, same place. And she went up and she's gone 4-0. She's competing against almost all boys. She's gone 4-0. If she wins her fifth game, she wins first place, gets a trophy. She makes a terrible, she's winning the game. She makes a terrible move and she just comes out in tears, literally sobbing convulsively. And she just finds her mom, Maria, wonderful mom, and just grabs her mom. And the mom just holds her, doesn't say a word. And I don't say a word either. I know exactly what's happened. And 30 minutes later, we're kind of getting ready to drive back because we've got to drive up the next day. Everybody's done. And I look at Maria and I go, hey, I want this to be a positive experience for Liliana. She's going to have other chess tournaments. If she doesn't want to come up tomorrow, that's fine. Just give me a call. We'll get it. We can get it figured out. We'll get all the rights figured out. So Liliana did come up the next day, and similar group of students, almost all boys, and went 6-0 and won first place. And there's a picture of her with a giant trophy. And I always remember that it was the mom that just opened up her arms and held her and didn't say a word. It was, you're okay. I'm here with you. We're going to get through this. And if that's the approach to parenting kids who are going through competitions or whatever, they're going to do fine because they're taking a risk. They're internalizing that pressure themselves. You don't need to add more pressure to them. You just turn out later on in life, if you put a lot, you can motivate through fear too, which is terrible parenting. And then later in life, they're going to hate you and have higher incidence of drug and alcohol abuse too. So letting parents know we love them no matter what allows the student to fail. We fail forward towards success. And when they see it's okay for me to fail, then it's okay for them to do unimaginably great things. And that's what I saw over and over and over again.
That's so true. And I'm always saying 98% of what comes out of our mouth is not helpful. Like we need to validate, but we don't even need to say anything. Oftentimes it's like, I just make noises, right? Like it's a sound,
Right.
like, and then the hug, and it's creating that space. We really don't need to say anything at all.
When a child's escalating, and if they've just lost and they're feeling horrible, they're escalating. You have to you got to give them some space to de-escalate.
Yeah.
And that's what that mom did so well. And if you're a mom who's just watching your kid and they lose, they go, why did you lose? I can't believe you lost. They're going to hate that thing. They may do it to try to please you because they think it's important to you, but they will learn to hate it and they're going to not like you for that reason. And it just creates a nightmare of anxiety and fears that don't play well later in life, especially at adolescence.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we need our parents, our girls play competitive sports. And like we've had parents comment on our daughters, right? Oh, you missed that shot. Or it's just like, it's unbelievable. Like our other children like commenting, and it's just unbelievable, but definitely not helpful at all. And about the mistakes, one thing I often tell families and classroom teachers too, is to have a mistake of the day. So instead of the stickers on the wall for best spelling, like have a mistake of the day. What did you learn from it? And celebrate those.
Right. Everything, because kids don't get it right most of the time. The process of learning is the process of kids not getting it right and learning how to get it right. On average, the statistic varies from whoever's saying it, but it takes 8 times to get something right. That means you got it wrong 7 times. And so you have to and the more comfortable a child feels in attempting something and failing, the faster they're going to get to the right answer.
Yeah.
The more pressure you put on them, the longer it's going to take, and they're going to learn to hate the learning process. And so it's just it's a downward spiral if you're always saying, "Why didn't you do? Can't you do it? Why didn't you do this? Why you should be?" It's just not a healthy thing at all for
Yeah.
children. They need emotional support to take reasonable chances in life.
One thing that I've found helpful is getting them to teach me. Like my daughter was learning polynomials and algebra, like more complex algebra, and I was having her teach me, even though she didn't really fully understand. But then it was helpful for her to see. Then we would learn together. She's like, "Oh, I don't know this next step. Well, let's figure it out together." Right. But I found that was really helpful. And I was open to being her student, right. And kind of playing like, I don't know. And actually, I really didn't know,
Yeah.
but we learned together. Right. And so
It's it's an odd statistic, and I I I don't know how they measured it. I hear it, and I think there's a study related to it. But like you remember, 60% of what you hear, you remember 80% of what you see, you remember 90% of what you teach someone else. So part of what we're doing, like one year, one of my last years of chess, we had 72 students, ages second grade, complete beginners, to sixth grade, pretty good players, all coming into my second grade classroom designed with 24 chairs. So 72 students in there after school, one of me. So what do? You take the older ones and you make them teachers, and they all have a small group, and you say, go spread out, and you talk to after school. I'm going to have a group come in, and they're going to be teaching. Here's what you're teaching, because there is no way I could teach 72 students who are that varied of levels, but it worked. And then we come back and we talk about, what did you learn? What happened in your group? And so empowering children to become teachers is not only a cool sounding thing, it's a really effective thing for learning. It makes them learn it faster. And it's more fun for kids sometimes too.
yeah, absolutely. Have you ever heard of Sudbury Valley School?
No.
Okay, so it's Peter Gray. I think he started them in California, actually. I'm not sure. Is there a place called Sudbury Valley? Maybe that's where he started. I don't know. But anyway, it is that like it's not a grade-based school, it's interest-based school. And you've got grade 12, 17-year-olds with kindergartners, right? All interested in their you see them kind of helping. There is a facilitator there, like a teacher facilitator, but it's really them teaching each other and building their skills and mentoring and all of those types of things. It's really interesting.
Yeah, when you look globally at how different countries like Finland and other places who really do well, seemingly all their students are doing well, you can look at what goes on in the States, and I think roughly what goes on in Canada public schools is similar to the United States, different in some
I
ways.
think so. Yeah.
But what they don't do is they're not really test based, succeeding in tests. That's not the focus in Finland. And so I think public education is an enormously good thing. I value it. I want to see it continue. I think some of the emphasis on some things, curriculum and other things, is misguided. But until you are willing to let go of some things which are entrenched, it's hard to make progress.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, any questions, Andrew?
No, this was awesome. I just it's interesting the approach of like chess and putting them in situations where they had to figure it out, but they themselves kind of let it forward. I think that's great, and it's good to see that the outcomes kind of matched what they had hoped, even though that wasn't the ultimate goal sometimes.
Yeah, the challenge was when you're teaching chess and taking students to chess tournaments, where our region that we were in was the Bay Area. Basically, we drive up to the Bay Area where all Silicon Valley parents were, and the sons and daughters of Google parents. And I'm taking, migrant family kids to up against Chinese, Indian, the very top schools. And how you get kids to compete equally with that group of kids was a challenge. And what I figured out was you have to assume that they're smart enough to learn some things quickly. If you don't go in with that assumption, you can never catch up. So then how do you accelerate the learning curve of children who have been traditionally, like the first time we went to nationals, I had a teacher come up to me and say, don't take these kids to nationals. They'll just embarrass themselves.
Wow.
And so I took them to national. I spent a lot of money out of pocket, but it's what I did for my career to say. And then when we won trophies, I say take them back to show them all to all the teachers. But into school, make sure you do that. But how they excel, how you create a system of learning that allows them to accelerate to catch up. You're not just having, because those kids in those schools have been in chess for 2 or 3 years, and my kids are moving around, and so there was something I ran across, a paper called Cognitive Architecture and Instructional Design by Sweller, Van Marienborg, and Poss, and I ended up emailing back and forth with Sweller and Van Marienborg particularly, and I said, here's what I'm doing, and here's what's traditionally done in chess education, and here's what I'm doing with English language learners, and why is this working? I'm curious because I see something that's not supposed to work and it's working. And then we kind of dug down into it, something called the transfer paradox. Transfer paradox is an interesting thing because it's based on a couple factors, which is we don't want extraneous load, we don't want outside influence, we don't want too much pressure. But what they found is if you increase the level of difficulty, not ridiculously much so, but if you make a variety of, like if I'm teaching reading and I go, today we're going to study at, okay, that's mat, sat, bat. Okay, what's this word? There's a picture of a cat. That's cat. Okay, everybody gets 100%. We could do really well. But ultimately, just teaching simplicity creates an achievement gap. But what if you take and okay, we're going to focus on that, but we're going to throw in a few curveballs in here and make it more complex. Added complexity drives down initial scores. But because you're making it more complex, in 2 or 3 years, they're able to process more difficult, more complex information, and they pass. And so what you have with every principal in every school that deals with test scores is, do we want the easy, fast answers right away so we could say, I got 100%? Or do you want to build on complexity of learning for the future and accept that maybe initially the scores won't be as good, but if we structure it right and we make it more complex and we believe our children are capable of learning, they're going to crash through that achievement gap. And the schools that are willing to take that chance do, and the schools that I want high test scores every week. Then you dumb down the curriculum to get everybody 100%, and they're going to ultimately struggle to fill that gap. And that's what I saw. So I created a curriculum for chess that accelerated. It made it harder initially. Stuff that most people don't do right away. And I said, no, they can do it. And what it means is they'll do more, better, faster later. And that's what happened. So
I'll have to check out that
it's
paper.
interesting.
It's interesting. Awesome. Well, this has been amazing. It was great having you on the show. Any last minute words that we didn't cover that you think is really important to sign off on?
I don't know, just, raising children, being a teacher is a challenge. And there's so much out there. There's, the social media and all this kind of stuff. The thing you do centrally as a parent is be an authentic self. When kids look at their parents, which are still the greatest influence in their lives, they're looking to see, what are they in public? What are they in private? How do they act? And are they real with me? Do they care about me even when I'm at my worst? And if you're that kind of teacher, that kind of parent, you are maximizing the opportunity for your kids to just be awesome kids. And that's what everybody wants. So focus on just accepting, loving. If they're doing purposefully wrong things, of course you have to deal with that. I mean, that's my parents had to deal with that with me. But when they're trying, be as positive and as nurturing as you can, and you will just reap reward after reward after reward.
Amazing.
That's great.
Well, thank you so much. I will have all of your information in the show notes, but for people who are listening right now, if they wanted to check out your work, where is the very best place to reach you?
The very best place to reach me would be Kevin Cripe, which is my name, motivationalspeaker.com. There's a website there. There's a website where I sell my books, but the website, Kevin Cripe, motivationalspeaker.com, which is really too long of a website name, but it works for me, is where you get information and can contact me directly. If you're interested in the books, there's a book website too, but I think that'll all be in your information.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I will have
fantastic.
that. Perfect. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.